Hello guys, welcome to another video of FC 101. Today we thought we'd discuss the Premier League Hall of Fame, seeing as we've seen Shearer and Henry inducted in the Hall of Fame. And I'm a big fan of both those players, and I do agree with Shearer 100% wholeheartedly, but I was a bit critical about having Henry in there ahead of some other players. I know Jack doesn't agree, but we can agree to disagree. That's what it's all about, right? Opinion. And therefore, the interesting bit is we're going to discuss who else gets in there, because here are listed the names on my wallpaper right behind me in terms of whoever else is actually in there. I think I'm not sure if I'm missing a few names, Jack, but
there's definitely a few missing there.
Yeah, I can see them on the iPad. But basically, we're going to pick our 6 out of the available options that are on the website. Jack's going to read through the rules really quickly, just so you know why and how they've come up. Premier League have come up with the names that come up. So you might be surprised to see a few names missing, but it's because of these rules that they've put in place. So Jack, over to you to just give us a rundown of the rules.
Yeah. So I'll be honest, I was kind of surprised I didn't see a few names in there. David Seaman, for instance, as another goalkeeper, and a few others. And now he wouldn't have come in my top 6, David Seaman, but still, I think he achieved some great things. But there is some rules and stipulations, and these rules are they needed to have fully retired by August 1st, 2020, which he had done. So let's start talking about him. Amassed at least 250 appearances in the Premier League. They had to have either had one of those two or have met one of these criteria. And these are the other criteria. So at least 200 appearances for one Premier League club, selected for any Premier League team of the decade or a 20-year anniversary team, won a Premier League Golden Boot or Golden Glove, voted as Premier League Player of the Season, won at least 3 Premier League titles. And then the last one is amassed either 100 Premier League goals or 100 Premier League clean sheets. Which one's easier of those two as well? That's a pretty difficult task, isn't it? The last one there. But so there's some interesting things there. Now, I reckon we're going to be very topical in this because I don't know if we're going to have too many similarities in our picks. I can guarantee you'd know one of my picks out of the group, and I would guarantee that I'd know at least one of your picks out of the group as well. But why don't we get started? We've obviously only got one goalkeeper in there in Schmeichel. Now, does he make your pick of your 6?
Absolutely, because we have to have a goalkeeper amongst these guys, and I think Schmeichel, just by purely his stats, he's above, and that's how David Seaman's not there as well. We were just talking about him prior to jumping on the video, but that's what it is. In terms of how he misses out, he was a good goalkeeper, and I do rate him. He was quite right up there with Schmeichel, but Schmeichel just had the edge because of the trophies and the clean sheets that he could keep comparatively. So yeah, Schmeichel's in my top 6.
I do want Liverpool playing him, mate. It was like having a wall in goal. It was horrible. Whenever I saw him, I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, here goes. We're not going to score now. It was horrible going out. Like, I can imagine the strikers would not have liked going up against him at all.
And absolutely. The other thing is, I think at that time, he was quite brave in his approach as well. This was then he was almost Neuer-esque in his way of, similar to how Neuer started this whole sweeper keeper thing. He was the one who actually came out and hit every ball. Mostly you had seen goalkeepers sticking to their saving bit. So he was very good with his distribution as well, and also coming out and keeping, and that command as a goalkeeper that he had. Probably very few goalkeepers at the time had that kind of command on their backline and everyone. So it was great. It was a very easy pick to have Schmeichel in there for me. What I also want to do really quickly is, just for people who are not aware, I just want to go through the names really quickly of who we're talking about here, right? So we've got. So this is not by position or anything. This is just the names that the Premier League have put out for you, everyone to vote. So please go on to the PremierLeague.com and feel free to vote, guys, for who wants to vote in there. So out of the names, we've got Tony Adams, David Beckham, Dennis Bergkamp, Sol Campbell, Eric Cantona, Andy Cole, Ashley Cole, Didier Drogba, Les Ferdinand, Rio Ferdinand, Robbie Fowler, Steven Gerrard, Roy Keane, Frank Lampard, Matt Letizia, Michael Owen, Peter Schmeichel, Paul Scholes, John Terry, Robin van Persie, Nemanja Vidic, Patrick Vieira, and Ian Wright. Those are the players that we're picking from. So none apart from these are going to be discussed, in case you're wondering why. And feel free to go in and cast your votes on thepremierleague.com, because they'll obviously they have this for a reason. So they're going to make sure you pick whatever you like in terms of the players available. All right, we move past Schmeichel, so we obviously both agree on that one, and I think that's probably the only.
I don't agree. He's not in my six. He's not in my six. I agree.
Oh, he's not in your...
No, he's definitely not. Like, I haven't got a goalkeeper, and there's only the one. I haven't got him in my top six, just because, like I said, I think he was a great player, very like scary, like extremely intimidating for other players, and he wasn't scared of nothing as well. Like, I remember his head would be right down there if there was a boot going flying for. He didn't care. But he's not in my top six, so no, he's not one of my players. But we'll go on to it, because I do have two defenders. So if we're talking defenders, recapping the point that Lerick just made, we've got Adams, Campbell, Ashley Cole, Rio Ferdinand, John Terry, and Nemanja Vidic as well. So again, some really amazing defenders in there. Now this one's going to be very topical. I know every Chelsea fan in the world will vote for John Terry here, and fair enough, good on him. He was a great player. Every Arsenal fan in the world will vote for Tony Adams. Fair enough as well, you know. I think every Man United fan would vote for Rio Ferdinand, definitely in that position there. I voted for Rio Ferdinand. I think he's in my top six. He is such a ridiculously good defender that he has to make my top six. And he's a Man United player, which is annoying. I shouldn't be voting for a Man United player, but I'm being honest here. I think he was just, he was a rock at the centre back. He was so consistent. He's the kind of player that I would love to be alongside Van Dijk. Imagine that partnership. Jesus, no one would get past them. But that is what it is. I think that's why he's made it into my team. I think I look back and I'm like, he was always there, so consistent, didn't get injured. He was just that kind of player. Is he in your team as well? I have to know.
Yeah, he is in my team, and I agree to everything you said, apart from that last statement about Van Dijk. I know what you mean by when you said that. The only reason I'm not even talking about him and Van Dijk in the same breath is I love Van Dijk, and he's one of the few likable Liverpool players that I have in my genuinely, if I had to pick a team today, I'd put him in there in the current generation. But I'd like to see him do it over a period of time. Like I said,
yeah.
if I pick the best 11 today, if I pick the best 11 today, Van Dijk's in there, no doubt. But I agree. To be honest, it was harder for me to make that decision because I was trying to fight my biasness with Rio Ferdinand. I was trying to get John Terry, and the only thing that beats John Terry, because they're both amazing one-on-one defenders. John Terry's positional sense was phenomenal. And Rio Ferdinand was great at that as well. The only added advantage, physical attributes, I think Rio had a little bit more in his locker, physical attribute-wise, than John Terry did. That's why I thought he sort of nipped it for me a little bit. In terms of also raw pace, Rio's pace was fantastic. John Terry's probably not that fast. And so that's where sort of Rio just barely took it over John Terry for me.
Yeah. Now
I'm glad that we agreed on this, and I was thinking I'll take the second one because I was thinking we'll both agree with Ashley Cole, and I think we will. I know, but I thought that was the only one we'd agree with. But I'm sure I was surprised to see Ashley Cole. I was surprised to see we agreed on Rio, but Ashley Cole, I don't see much of an argument there. I think he had one of the best players in the Premier League in his pocket. And I feel a bit hurt saying this, but Ronaldo was in his pocket. And this is not, current Ronaldo. This is prime Ronaldo, just dancing around with the ball, making it impossible to anyone, like lightning quick. He just found him a nightmare all the time. And that's just one player who was probably, throughout the time he played, he was the best player in the league, hands down at the time, or for most times. So I think in that position in the right hand side of the on the field, and I think he was fantastic in terms of dealing with both his defensive ability, his attacking prowess for that time was great. The lungs he had, like he could run up and down throughout the game, so he was fantastic throughout the game. So I think Ashley Cole, yeah, it's a no-brainer for me.
Yeah. I think the thing is with Ashley Cole is, unfortunately, he's been in the news for different reasons because of his relationships and bullshit like that. So people forget how good he was at football. You know, he was amazing. He was a brilliant player. And again, another one who I hate playing against, because he'd always do something or supply something against Liverpool, which would always do my head in, no matter whether it was playing for either side that he played for. So, you know, I think he was consistent. He was brilliant. And he will be remembered. Even if he doesn't get into this top 6, he'll be remembered because he's such a good left back, one of the best left backs ever. And I'm happy to say that. I think he definitely is. So you haven't got any more defenders. I take it they're the only 2 you got out of that 6.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Excellent. So midfielders, we've got 6
So
midfielders.
we're done with 3 now. So we got another 3 to go.
Well, I've got 4 to go, mate. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, I mean I've done 3 now. You've got 4 to go. Go for it.
Yeah. So we've got in midfield, we've got Beckham, Gerrard, Keane, Lampard, Vieira, and Scholes. Now, again, much as I said with the defenders, you've got your players in here who are gonna really heighten their own clubs. Sorry?
Is Giggs not in that list? No, he's not.
Giggs isn't going to be on that list. I don't think Giggs will ever be on that list because he's in a bit of trouble at the moment.
What I just wanted to, yeah. So I think that's the reason why he's not on the list. Otherwise, if it wasn't for his current affairs with the charges of assault, I think he would have been on that list.
Yes,
at least.
I believe he may have been on that list. Yeah. So I've only got one midfielder, and that midfielder is no surprise. Who do you reckon that midfielder is for me?
You have to pick Gerrard. I think.
Yeah. So it's CVG. You know, it's 2 reasons I supported Liverpool my whole life, and 2 reasons I've loved Liverpool. One's John Barnes and one's Steven Gerrard. I think there's not much I can say. The guy leaves me speechless. I think he's always breathed Liverpool, and he is what the club's about. And I just love him with all my heart. I think he's a fantastic footballer. So not much else needs to be said about that. The rest of these midfield guys, they're all fantastic footballers, though. I'm interested to know who you've got in there, Lerick.
I'll take this next because I want to make it 4-3. Because I'll tell you, all right. If you're talking about Gerrard, I've got Roy Keane in there.
Okay, I thought you might.
Yeah, he's got to be in any team that I pick forever. just not today, forever. He'll be there right in the middle, and he's the captain, like no doubt. I know Steven Gerrard was a great captain, and he was good for his team, but the way Roy Keane could yell at his team members and hold them accountable, I think no one was as lethal as him in that doing that in terms of what he'd do and the effort he'd put, and
no one is
how
still,
he hold people accountable. Yeah.
No one is still. He still shouts.
I don't think that. Yeah, I think that's something that will never be replicated. That's how it is. He single-handedly put us on that path to that Champions League alone. Same like, and it's exactly like Steven Gerrard did for you guys in Istanbul, which is an amazing game. And it was very similar to us at the time what he did in that Juventus game, and that just was the pinnacle of, I guess, the highlight of the career. But other than that, every other thing, and the thing is, he even took on Alex Ferguson. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, I don't think Steven Gerrard would have ever done that, but you couldn't take the footballer, the winning mentality out of him. And that's what sort of differentiates him from anyone else in terms of that winning mentality. He hated losing more than he hated dying. I think that's how it is.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
But I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Roy Keane and Vieira are very topical in this conversation here, because when I talked about it with a couple of colleagues at work, they were furious that I didn't have Vieira or Keane in my pick, and I was like, "Come on, guys, there's reasons. We're all going to be different. Everyone's going to have their reasons. And again,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not.
opinion at the end of the day. Yeah.
And I guarantee you, all
I
Chelsea
can't-
fans will have Lampard. All the Chelsea fans will have Lampard in there, won't they? They've got to. They've got to.
They got it. You've got to go with, like, you'll have that bias that'll kick in regardless, no matter what you do. And the only thing that I have, I guess, in that sort of thing to say is, the thing to add on this is that with Roy Keane, right? With what he did as a captain for the club and what he did and how he says things, that the difference between him and all the other guys is, like I said again, and I'm going to say this again just because of it's the accountability, the winning mentality. It makes a big difference, because it's underrated how much that makes, how much of a difference that makes. I'm comparing that to today, and I see that with people like Pogba and all of these guys who don't have that mentality in themselves inbuilt. And that's what Klopp got to Liverpool. I don't necessarily think at the time that they were in the team, right? I didn't think Man United were the best team playing the best football. Arsenal probably played better football than us, most people would say. And they probably were the more attractive team comparatively to watch. You know, we left ourselves a little, like, technically, Arsene Wenger coached them really well. The only reason Roy Keane sort of powered them throughout the team overall, but Roy Keane sort of powered these guys through to victory most of those glory years.
Yeah, no, he was a driving force in that team for sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to strikers, because there's quite a few forward players, maybe not all out and out strikers, but they're forward players, and I'll read through the list again. Some, to be honest, they're all fantastic players. Bergkamp, Cantona, Andy Cole, Drogba, Les Ferdinand, Fowler, Letizia, Owen, Van Persie, and of course Ian Wright. What a bunch of players. I mean, it really is, like, it's great. I think there's a few in there who I'm surprised are on there, actually, to be honest, above others, one of them being Owen. And as a Liverpool fan, people may be surprised to hear that, but I don't think he was overall amazing after he left Liverpool. I don't think he did really much after he left Liverpool, and he came back and obviously played at a couple of clubs afterwards, but I don't think he did much at United or at Newcastle. So yeah, can't really say much about that. Now, talking about my first pick in the strikers range, you'll be happy to know it's another Man United player. And
Jesus.
Yeah, 2 Man United players I've got in my it's, yeah, of course it is. It's the man who's behind your head, Lerick. If you move your head to the side.
Yeah, I know. I did that.
Eric Cantona. He's got his collar up too. What can be said about Eric Cantona? Oh my God, the guy was entertainment in capital letters all the time. He played up for the cameras. He had a laugh on the field. He was also just as bossy as Roy Keane when he needed to be. He was a real hard man out on that field. You wouldn't mess with him. Just like Ibrahimovic, you wouldn't mess with Ibrahimovic. You wouldn't have messed with Cantona. You know, his kung fu kick, people said, oh, why did he do that? I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. And not because he got suspended for that long. I thought it was fantastic because that guy deserved it. That guy was being a racist prick. He deserved the kick in the head. And I was supporting Cantona. I was like, yeah, fuck him up. Like, he was very entertaining. So, and
I can't condone this, but I mean, because of the violent act, but at the same time, you know, I get where he's coming from. And if you take that away from him, just like when they tried to take the aggression away from Rooney, I thought he stopped being that kind of a player. As soon as he stopped getting his, you know, usual red cards every few games and all of that, he stopped being that player, that lethal player that he used to be. So I think, therefore, it needs to be left in there with certain players. You need to have that arrogance, that, you know, win at no cost, that I guess that just ego and attitude about yourself, that you can win it just entirely by yourself. And that's what
ego is the right word. You look at him now, dude. You look at him now. He's retired, but he is a funny man. He's a film star now. Yeah. But, you know, he did that campaign for England to say, I'll manage England at the World Cup because I'll do a better job. I would have loved it. Give him the team. I don't care if he can manage or not. It would have been entertaining.
one thing I'd say with these players managing, I don't think they can wrap themselves. Even Keane, for instance, he might get this big job, but I don't think they can wrap themselves like around their heads. They can't wrap these players not, sort of putting in the same effort and then having that talent like they did. They just can't do it. They think, what's wrong with you? What can you not? Why can't you do this? And they just don't see that it's just not in their DNA. And so,
Gerrard seems to be doing a good job, mate.
yeah. But I'm talking about Gerrard doesn't have that kind of ego. I'm talking about these players. I'm talking about Keane and Cantona kind of players who sort of just dominated their dressing rooms and stuff like that.
Yeah, even Henry and Shearer, they didn't do a great job either, did they? So yeah, you're right. I think sometimes there is that kind of.
Yeah, these loud. I'm just talking about these ones who could not care less about what everyone thinks about themselves and will just say it regardless. So Keane and Cantona, like everyone else, is a bit diplomatic with what they say, this, that, and the other. But Keane and Cantona, they might know that they're going to say the most ridiculous things, but they'll say it anyway. Like, it's come from me. I'll say what I want to say, and therefore, maybe there's a reason that they don't make good managers. All right, move to your next one, because you got 2 remaining, right?
I've got 2 remaining. You've got 2 remaining as well, right?
Yep.
All right. You want me to go, or do you want to go?
Because I got only 1 remaining, because you picked Cantona, and he's in my team as well.
Oh, he's in your team. Okay, there you go. Cool. Yeah. All right. So my next 2 are probably not going to be on everyone's list, and the reason I've got them is because I grew up watching them. I loved them as footballers. I thought they were phenomenal. My next one carried his team wherever he went. He was just ridiculous. Carried his team. He was consistent. I had the pleasure of meeting him 2 or 3 times in London, and he was a lovely guy, always so friendly, always willing to have a chat with the kids, like we always used to play football down the park and he'd have a chat with us. And so I thought that, that's always nice, going out the way. Yeah, there's not the media that there wasn't the media there is now, but, it was always nice. And that the first one then is Les Ferdinand for me. I think he was just such a good player. So underrated as well, in my opinion, like unbelievably underrated because of the teams he played in. But where he got those teams was just ridiculous, like he had them challenging for things from QPR. It's he just pushed these teams, he pushed these players, he drove his teams. I just have many fond memories of him. So he's my first one. Now, my last one, I'm happy to move on to, unless you want to go for your last one ahead of me.
No, go for it, because your picks are a bit, out of the air. You said for the last.
Yeah. So my last one is someone who, if someone told me they didn't like this man as a pundit, I'd probably give him a slap, because I think he's brilliant and I think he's the most likable character on TV. And that's Ian Wright. I think he's just he's a lovely guy. Like, he just seems like the kind of guy that everyone would get along with. Very passionate, but he was a brilliant player. He was, again, just so good in that Arsenal squad, and he was in and around. He had some brilliant players around him. Rocastle and him was so good together. Rest in peace, Rocastle. But I think that was a mad partnership, and he just did some brilliant things in football, and he was exciting to watch as well. He was one of those players that I kind of always tuned in to watch, even if Liverpool weren't playing. If he was playing, like, I liked to watch him, and he was fun to have out there on the field. So that's my 6, man. Ashley Cole, Rio Ferdinand, Gerrard, Cantona, Les Ferdinand, and Ian Wright. So only 1 Liverpool player, 2 Man United players, and 2 Ferdinands, not related.
That's shocking. My last player, and I think he's the most technical player out of this lot. Apart from maybe I could question Henry in there, but Scholes. Scholes, was basically, for me, phenomenal, because he played in different positions from when he started to later in his career. He played a bit of a box-to-box role. He played a little bit in the front, and then he dropped deep as well for us when required. He could spray a long ball just as easily as he could do, those short 1-2 passes that he would do. He could score an amazing goal anytime. He bailed us out so many times. It's just phenomenal for me. I couldn't, it wasn't even a hard pick for me to pick Scholes. I guess in hindsight, when thinking about it, the six, for me, it was really easy to make the decision apart from the one in the beginning in terms of defense. Everywhere else, for me, the decision was really, really easy.
Because you just pick Man United players.
Yeah, I know. That's what I think. That's what happened. I only left out Beckham, and I only left Beckham and Van Persie there. And I know people are going to be pretty pissed off that I didn't pick, but I would think some of these players should have gone ahead of Henry in there. That's why I was not happy about the Henry appointment in the Hall of Fame. Some of these players deserve to be ahead of Henry. Just in terms of trophies and stats, were both better than Henry. So I didn't understand how Henry got in there before these guys.
Yeah, I personally think Henry's the best striker to ever play in the Premier League. I think he's. Don't get me wrong. I think Shearer's stats are amazing and everything like that. I think Henry's the best player best striker to ever play in the Premier League. So yeah, I think he was ridiculously good. But again, it's this topical thing. This is why I love conversations like this, because I don't think we're ever going to agree. Like the fact that you picked 5 Man United players, come on. But at the same time, that's not a bad thing, man. They made you watch football. They made you watch Man United. That's why you fell in love with the team. And it kind of said something about that time, man. If you look at that, they're the team who, they're the ones who made you watch it. Gerrard's the one who made me watch it. The other Liverpool players in that group, yes, I love Fowler, but I don't think he should be in there because he wasn't as consistent. Owen got on my nerves. He was great when he was a kid, but didn't get there again afterwards. Yeah. But I think Gerrard's the one out of that lot for me. And with Man United, you had so many consistent players, so you do have that richness of choice. And so that was, that's always going to be there, isn't it?
Glory days are now long lost, thanks to the bloody Glazers.
We'll see, mate. We'll see. You never know. We might see some good players coming through soon. You never know. You got some players, youngsters who could potentially be future Hall of Famers. We'll never know for a long time. But I just know it's never going to be like, previously we would find them pick the right kind of player, the right profile, even though they'd pay more money for them than what the market demanded, because that's just what happens. When a big club comes, you ask for more money, fair enough. But they'd pick them at the right time, the right profile, and then they'd play them in the team. They'd embed them in the team. Obviously, all credit to Sir Alex Ferguson and everything. But they had the setup, they had the coaching, they had the staff to do that. They had the eye of the scouts to believe on this, that, and the other. And there was no one taking money out of the club. So because those things don't exist in a lot of the ways, I just don't think that this team's going anywhere until and unless there's a fundamental change with the ownership, and then it trickles down right up till maybe. You got to get off your ownership topic here, mate. We're talking about Hall of Famers.
No, I know. I'm just saying. I don't think there's going to be any Hall of Famers out of the current squad in this, for a long term.
Like I said, mate, you've the Hall of Famer, as we can see by this thing, it's 20. You got to be retired for a year and a half anyway. So you got 20 years ahead of some of these players, Greenwood and even Rashford. As much as you may not think he's amazing, he's so young. He could be phenomenal in the future.
Oh, you
got some great players there who it could happen to. Yeah. But we're very early in that story. But anyway, we thought we'd do this. We thought it'd be a bit of fun, guys. And we're going to do a couple more videos like this, just different ones, and kind of probably have more arguments over selecting our best 11 for certain periods, and we'll maybe try and do it together. And I'll try and get Lerick not to pick United players for something, or maybe we should make that rule. No Man United.
This was the most benign argument. Like, this was not even an argument compared to our normal arguments. This was very. It was calm. This was very calm and respectful. Normally, arguments are not respectful at all. They're just shitting all over each other all the time, which is fantastic. This is why I prefer them. But obviously, we have to keep some sort of decorum for YouTube. But next time it'll be a little more fiery, I assume, if it's going to be a mixture of, something like who's the best team ever, the 99 treble team or the Liverpool team and all of that, and that's going to be there. That's going to create a fiery debate, I assume. But there'll be stuff like that we'd like to do.
I'll think of a couple of topics. But if anyone's got any ideas, put them in the comments below, guys. Otherwise, hit that bell icon, give us a like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.